was enough. And I said,
It's been 15 or longer years.
When the world learned of Hulk Hogan's unexpected passing, fans were left in shock. But few felt the loss as intimately as Linda Hogan, his ex-wife of over 2 decades. Known for their high-profile marriage, public struggles, and deep-rooted history, Linda had stayed quiet in the immediate aftermath. But now, with her heart laid bare, she's speaking out. In a moving and emotional message, Linda reflected on their years together, the highs, the heartbreaks, and the bond that, despite everything, never fully faded. Her words aren't just about mourning a legend. They're about losing someone she once called the love of her life. In her grief, we're reminded that even icons leave behind very real, very human heartbreak. The sudden loss that shook wrestling's heart. When the world learned that Hulk Hogan, born Terry Bollea, had passed away suddenly on July 24, 2025, the shock rippled far beyond wrestling rings and fan arenas. For decades, Hogan wasn't just a wrestler. He was a cultural icon who carried the hopes, dreams, and energy of millions. His death was not only a loss to the industry, but to the countless lives he had touched. Amid the widespread grief and stunned silence, one voice stood out with piercing honesty and raw emotion. Linda Hogan, Hulk's first wife. Known for her openness and the complicated journey they shared, Linda's response was a window into a deeply personal story rarely seen by the public. Posting on Instagram just days after the news broke, she gave fans and friends a glimpse into the complexity of love, loss, and legacy that underpinned their history. Linda's words didn't just reflect the shock of losing a man who was larger than life. They revealed the painful truth of a private heartbreak, a family shaken to its core, and the enduring human connection behind the legend. A glimpse into the past. Linda's reflection on the good old days. Before the tragedy, Linda had shared a bittersweet post on Instagram, reminiscing about the good old days she spent alongside Terry Bollea during the height of his career. Her post was filled with photos and memories from a time when Hulk Hogan was at the very peak of his fame, when the roar of the crowd was his daily soundtrack and the world seemed to revolve around his electrifying presence. But in the wake of his death, Linda's reflection took on a heavier weight. Responding to her own nostalgic post, she confessed, "I had no idea he would pass away this soon. We all really thought he would make a comeback. Big surprise. We are all devastated. It's hitting me so hard." Her honesty pierced through the glamorized image of wrestling stardom. Behind the flashbulbs and roaring crowds was a family still hoping, still believing, still dreaming of one more chance, a chance that would never come. Her words resonated deeply with fans, many of whom had grown up cheering Hulk Hogan's famous catchphrases and high-energy entrances. But through Linda's raw vulnerability, they were reminded that beneath the icon was a man whose life was as fragile and fleeting as anyone's. The complexity of love and pain. Linda opens up about their marriage. Linda's post didn't just dwell on nostalgia. It also peeled back layers of a complicated and often painful marriage. Married in 1983, their relationship spanned more than 2 decades, filled with public triumphs and private struggles, culminating in a high-profile divorce in 2009. But Linda made it clear that despite the pain, her love for Terry was never simple or absent. "I loved Hulkster more than he loved me," she admitted. A poignant and heartbreaking truth that spoke to the unevenness often hidden beneath even the most glamorous relationships. She touched on the agony of infidelity, an issue that rocked their marriage and left wounds that never quite healed. It hurt when he cheated, but he was so famous. I sort of understood, but it was crushing, Linda shared. It hurt. I never got over him or started a real relationship with anyone. I missed him. Those words revealed a woman wrestling not just with loss, but with decades of emotional complexity, loving a man who was both deeply flawed and beloved. It was a glimpse into the emotional price of life lived in the unforgiving spotlight of fame, where mistakes are magnified and forgiveness is complicated. Her vulnerability helped humanize a figure often cast in broad strokes of heroism and spectacle. Here was a woman speaking openly about love, betrayal, and the long shadows they cast. The weight of finality. Coming to terms with loss. There's a finality to it that's just shocking, Linda wrote, capturing a truth that hits every person who loses someone they love deeply. The painful knowledge that there are no do-overs, no second chances. We spent every minute together for so many years, she reflected, conjuring images of a life once shared in fullness. The sudden silence left behind felt almost unbearable. Linda's words carried a universal message about grief. The slow, sharp ache of absence, the endless questions, the memories that flood unexpectedly. Her candidness helped fans and followers see beyond the wrestling persona to the real human being who had been loved and who had loved in return. Her grief was not just for the loss of a husband, but for the loss of a shared history, for the closing of a chapter that had defined her life for decades. The family bonds, children caught between worlds. One of the most poignant aspects of Hulk Hogan's passing was the impact on his children, Brooke and Nick Balea, products of his marriage to Linda. Their relationships with their father have been marked by their own complexities and distances. Brooke Hogan has been estranged from both parents for some time, a painful reality that added another layer of sorrow to the family's story. Publicly, she has kept much of her feelings private, leaving space for the family's complicated dynamic to unfold, mostly behind closed doors. Nick, however, remained close to his father until the very end. Linda spoke about how, despite years of separation from Terry herself, she maintained a fragile connection through Nick's updates. "I still felt, although broken, we still were a family," she said, a testament to the enduring bonds that can persist even amid fractured relationships. The tragedy wasn't just the death of a wrestling legend. It was the unraveling of a family network filled with love, estrangement, forgiveness, and pain. Linda's words painted a picture of a family caught between worlds, trying to hold on to hope even as grief threatened to pull them apart. Linda's struggle to stay strong for Nick grief is often a private battle, yet it unfolds within the delicate balance of family and responsibility. For Linda Hogan, coping with the sudden loss of Hulk, Hogan wasn't just about her own sorrow. It was about being the steady presence her son Nick needed during the darkest hours. "I try to stay strong for Nick, but I'm melting down now," she shared with heartbreaking honesty. Those words capture the painful tension between a mother's desire to be a pillar of strength and the crushing weight of her own heartbreak. "It's so hard to know he's just gone," she admitted, the raw truth laying bare the human fragility behind her public persona. Her vulnerability struck a chord with many who've faced similar crossroads of grief and duty. She wasn't just mourning a man. She was mourning a shared lifetime, a bond shaped by years of love, hardship, and family ties. Her simple yet profound declaration, "I love you, Hulkster. You were my man, the only man for me," R.I.P., spoke volumes about decades of history, of love that endured beyond pain, and of a heart that still beats for the man who shaped so much of her life. Hulk Hogan's life beyond Linda. New chapters and new love's life after Linda marked new beginnings for Terry Bollea, better known to the world as Hulk Hogan. His journey of love continued with two more marriages, each symbolizing attempts at fresh starts and companionship after the stormy years he spent with Linda. In 2010, Hogan married Jennifer McDaniel. Their marriage lasted over a decade, a chapter often quieter in the media but significant in his personal narrative. Though it ended in 2021, it marked a period where Hogan sought to rebuild and find stability beyond the public eye. Then, in 2023, he married Sky Daly, his final spouse, who stood by him until his last days. Sky's grief was deeply personal and publicly shared. The day after Hogan's management confirmed his passing, she posted a candid selfie of the two, a raw and unfiltered moment that revealed the depth of their connection and the pain of losing him. Sky's gesture was a poignant reminder that behind every headline is a story of love and loss, one often shielded from public view but intensely felt by those closest to the departed. The final moments, official reports from Clearwater, Florida. The city of Clearwater, Florida, a place Hogan had called home for years, released a solemn statement detailing the final moments of the wrestling legend. On July 24th, emergency services responded to a medical call at Hogan's residence, where he was found in cardiac arrest. First responders quickly administered life-saving measures on site before rushing him to the hospital. Despite their best efforts, Hogan was pronounced dead shortly afterward, his vibrant life coming to an abrupt and somber end. This official confirmation brought a wave of sadness not only to fans, but also to those who knew him personally. A stark reminder that no matter how larger-than-life someone may seem, mortality is an unyielding reality. The energy and charisma that once filled arenas now passed into history, leaving behind memories cherished by millions. Wrestling's immortal icon, a career defined by championship glory Hulk. Hogan's name is synonymous with professional wrestling itself. Bursting into the limelight in the 1980s, he became the face of the WWF, now WWE, captivating audiences worldwide with his unmistakable charisma, booming voice, and signature catchphrases like, "What you gonna do when Hulkamania runs wild on you?" His persona was larger than life, a heroic figure inspiring countless fans with his electrifying entrances and unforgettable matches. Beyond the spectacle, Hogan's influence stretched into pop culture, making him a household name even for those who never stepped foot inside a wrestling arena. Over his storied career, Hogan amassed an astonishing 12 heavyweight championship titles, split evenly between WWE and WCW. These victories weren't just about trophies. They were milestones in a journey that defined wrestling's golden era. His battles, both scripted showdowns and real-life rivalries, etched moments of drama, passion, and triumph into the fabric of sports entertainment history. A man of contrasts, the public icon, and the private struggles. Yet, behind the flashing cameras and roaring crowds, Hogan's life was a complex blend of light and shadow. The public saw the heroic persona, the muscle-bound champion, the charismatic entertainer, the symbol of strength and perseverance. But the private story was more nuanced, filled with struggles that fame often concealed. His multiple marriages, public scandals, and personal challenges reminded the world that the price of superstardom is often hidden behind the spotlight's glow. It is a reminder that heroes, too, wrestle with their own demons. Linda Hogan's reflections, combined with the family's experiences, reveal this layered reality. The man who tore his shirt in half and energized millions was also a deeply human figure, grappling with vulnerabilities, mistakes, and the search for meaning beyond the ring. This contrast, The juxtaposition of Hulk Hogan, the icon, and Terry Bollea, the man, makes his story compelling and his passing all the more poignant. It reminds us that beneath every legend lies a person whose struggles and triumphs shape their legacy. The ripple effect, how Hogan's death resonates. Today, the sudden news of Hulk Hogan's passing sent shockwaves through the wrestling world and far beyond. Fans from every corner of the globe came together, united in their grief and remembrance of a man who had inspired generations with his courage, passion, and undeniable resilience. Stories poured in, tales of how Hogan's larger-than-life persona sparked hope in the hearts of those who faced their own struggles, reminding them to believe in themselves and never give up. Fellow wrestlers, many of whom shared not just rings but years of hard-fought battles, injuries, and camaraderie with Hogan, expressed their deep sorrow and respect. Their words painted a picture of a brotherhood forged in the fire of competition, where rivalry was intertwined with genuine friendship and mutual admiration. These tributes underscored the powerful bonds created through decades of shared experiences, triumphs, and setbacks alike. Amid the public mourning, Linda Hogan's candid and heartfelt reflections brought a deeply human element to the grieving process. Her words reminded the world that behind the spectacle and the persona was a family navigating a complicated, painful loss. It was a poignant reminder that the man the world cheered for was also a father, an ex-wife, and a person whose relationships were filled with love, complexities, and real emotions. Linda's openness about her sorrow and the fractured but enduring family ties brought depth to the public conversation, inviting fans to see beyond the myth and into the heart of the man who had become an icon. A legacy that will live. Although Terry Bollea, the man behind the mask of Hulk Hogan, is no longer with us, his legacy remains vivid and alive. It is written not only in the championship belts he held, but in the unforgettable moments that defined professional wrestling's golden age. More importantly, it lives in the countless hearts of fans who saw in Hogan a symbol of strength, perseverance, and hope. His life was a testament to the power of reinvention. From his early days stepping into smoky bars playing bass guitar to becoming the face of wrestling worldwide, Hogan continuously transformed himself, proving that resilience and passion can overcome even the toughest challenges. His journey reminds us that fame and success are rarely linear. There are struggles, mistakes, and moments of doubt woven into every triumph. Through the voices of those who knew him best, Linda Hogan, fellow wrestlers, friends, and fans, we come to see a fuller, more nuanced portrait. He was not just the hero who tore his shirt in half and rallied arenas. He was a man who loved deeply, who stumbled, who fought to make things right, and who left a mark that transcends the wrestling ring. As the wrestling community and the world continue to celebrate Hulk Hogan's monumental contributions, his story stands as a powerful reminder of the complexities behind fame. It shows us that legends are made not only by their victories, but by their humanity, by the relationships they build, the struggles they face, and the inspiration they leave behind. In the end, Hulk Hogan's legacy is more than a wrestling career. It is a story of connection between a man and his fans, a father and his family, and a legend and the world that loved him. And that story, vibrant and enduring, will live on for generations to come.